Hello, this is Lill and welcome to my channel. So I wanted to try to make a little bit of a different video this time, and feel free to tell me if it was something you want to see more of, or if it's just no, keep this at least to a different channel. But yeah, so I wanted to talk a little about anxiety attacks and dealing with it and acceptance. And I recorded this a while ago because I had an attack, and luckily after this I actually haven't had an attack yet. And yeah, so I think it really helped me, and I was thinking I didn't know what other people would think about a video like this, because it is a gaming channel after all, and I guess we all come from different backgrounds and stuff like that, so it might not work for everyone. But if it can help someone, then I'm happy about that. So if you feel like this is not for you, just skip it. But if you think that it's gonna be interesting, or if you want to send it to a friend that has anxiety, then feel free to do so. Thank you so much. Hello, this is Lill and welcome to my channel. This time I kind of want to do a little twist on things. I want to talk about actually something a bit more important. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, oh, I really want to help people. And I don't really know how to do it. I just know that I want to. And maybe some things I can talk about will help some people. Some people I know all these things, and I can deal with it, how it is and stuff like that. But in case some people have the same thing as I have, maybe it helps them to hear it. So I want to talk about anxiety and being understood, that you come from a place with good intentions. And the thing about letting go if you are not understood, if you're not, if you get shut down by your, how you want to approach things. Like if you try to do something good and you get shut down, or if you try to communicate with people or for some reason have close to contact on you, and you try to make amends or just be a normal human to human interaction, be a good person to each other. And some people have different opinion about what they think about what people think about you. So for me, it's a problem if someone close to me, or someone that was close to me, has a problem with me, because then I kind of feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Can I help, or can I make the situation better by being even kinder to them? Can I open up? Can I make everyone be friends again? That kind of part. And some people, they care more about what people that they don't know, or people they do not know, what they care about. Like, for instance, say, oh, I don't want to run because I feel I look silly if I run, and there's people watching, and oh, I don't want to run because of that, that the people that you don't know, that you're afraid of what they are thinking. You don't want to do a specific thing because they might be thinking something weird about you. I'm about that, I don't care at all. I could just roll in a pit of sand just because I want to, well, it kind of depends on, I guess, the situation, but I would care more about it before, but then I guess I stopped caring a bit after a while. I was just like, what do I really want to do? And then I was like, does it really matter if they think I'm weird? Because I just want to do this, and this won't hurt anyone. It's just something that I want to do. And I think that for me, that was like an epiphany when I first like started to just do whatever I wanted to, as long as I knew that it had no impact on anyone else that would make like things worse for them or whatever. So so in that way, I wouldn't care what people that was far away from me would think about me, but the close ones I would really worry about. So when it comes to dealing with this anxiety that can pop up, it's very wave-based. Sometimes it's not really a big thing, and sometimes it comes creeping, like the anxiety, and then you will have problems breathing, and you can't think straight, and maybe the anxiety gets worse over the day, or like the next day after, and maybe it lasts several days depending on the situation. So how to kind of deal with it? Some people which maybe have less of the anxiety, they might be like, I don't care what they think. Like, even if it's a close interaction or a distant interaction, they would be like, I don't care. But what do you do if you do care? How can you learn not to care? How can you deal with? How can you patch up this damage that you can feel in the moment? And a part of it is confidence. But the thing is, when you find out, oh well, it can't be that, because what if you do feel like, oh, it's not because of confidence in this point? Like, I do have confidence in myself. I do have confidence in my intentions of being good. I do have confidence that my action was had a reason for it. And I do have a confidence that I tried. I do have a confidence that I did my best. So what is missing then? If you do find like, oh, I'm still having this tough time. There's still something that makes me sad about not being understood in this situation. So then how do you deal with it? And how do you find out to yourself how to deal with it? How can you patch yourself up so you kind of get on with it? And I know some people would say like, oh, just don't care about it. Like, just stop caring what people think, or what, like, you can't be friends with everyone. You can never please everyone. You can never be accepted by everyone. That's not possible. So you do know that this is the case, but like, why, if you can't let go of not being liked by that person or these people or whatever, and it's like something that you feel important, how do you do that? So at the start, when I did have like a wave that was appearing, I was like, oh, how do I do this? How do I fix this? I should know this, because I do like self-analyzing. I do like self-improvement. I do like trying to figure out solutions. I'm very like problem-oriented person that wants to fix a problem. And that might be problems to actually be thinking like that, because I have heard that don't try to always fix the problem. You're supposed to also listen and just agree to it. And I understand that that's how a lot of venting does. Like, if you hear someone vent about a thing that they feel difficult, and sometimes I understood that, yeah, you should not always like come up with the solution or like, oh, how can you fix it? Sometimes you should just say, yeah, that sucks or whatever. So, but yeah, for me, I might I might be going off a little bit, but this is just like on a whim. I didn't really write down anything. But yeah, for me, in that point of time when I had this sudden like wave of anxiety or worry or something like that, I was like, okay, what has helped? What have helped me before? And I was like, well, actually, going to the forest, going into the nature, going into pureness of real world, like go to the closest part of what's real, not like, cement or wood that's processed, and like, like get away from that. Find like a nature place, even though it's just like a little park. Maybe you see like a bush and a tree and a rock and you can sit down there, preferably near a place that has no people around, so you can feel like you can do whatever, without people watching or judging. So I was like, okay, it's already 8 p.m. It might be too late now. And I was like thinking like to try to figure out my thoughts. I had written like a letter about like all of these things about my anxiety there and then. And I was like, maybe I should go to the forest one time and just bring this letter, pick it up, go to a forest and like put it underneath a rock or something. Just like, and on that letter it said like, you did your best. And I know that I did my best, but it's like, it's weird. When you write whatever is on your mind, it does feel better actually, because you kind of process what's on your mind when you're writing it. So this letter that I had, I was like, I just want to go home from work right now. I'm not gonna go to the forest now. It's already 8 p.m. and I was sitting a little over at work. And I was like, okay, I'll just go home. And then when I got home, I was like, you know what? I still think I need to go to that forest. And still think I need to find some kind of patch of grass and moss or whatever. And I had left that note at work, so I didn't have it with me anymore. And I was like, I'll go anyways. I'm not gonna go to work to pick up the note. It doesn't matter. And I didn't necessarily think that I would find like a forest in that direction, because I chose to like bike like a way that I hadn't really biked so much before. I was like, oh, I actually did find like a little patch of woodlands. And then like when I got to the forest area, I was like, okay, I'll just park my bike here, and I'll actually like just lock it up, and like I'll walk in this part, because it was no problem in biking in the forest there, because it was like it's not, well, it wasn't much like roots and stuff, at least at the first part. But the thing is, like when you go by foot, you can notice more stuff around you. You can take your more time, and if it's not a big forest, then it will take you a bit longer also to go through. So then I left my bike there, and I was like, first I was like, oh yeah, let me just look around and like just hear the birds make their sounds, like chipper or whatever you call it in English, and just listen to the sounds of the forest. And I went walking a little bit, and I found like this bench, and I sat down there a little bit after walking a little bit, and I was like, you know what, right now, for me to deal with whatever's like this anxiety thing come up, I was like, okay, from now, because I knew that it's all in your mind. Like everything with anxiety is in your mind, and everyone deals with it differently. Everyone has to find their own way of dealing with these things. It's whatever works for me might not work for you, but maybe something will help some people. So I'm just sharing this. So yeah. So I was sitting on this bench, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna make like, because I was looking at the ground, and I saw like these like nuts that was like nutshells from the trees above that had fallen to the ground within like the sand and the small pebbles and like forest soil and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make like a symbolic little thing for what my specific thought was about, like, I don't want to get into what it was, but it was like like what things meant for me and what I appreciated with what I have experienced. So I focused on the good things. I was like, what do I appreciate about everything that these people that I'm thinking about? What do I appreciate with them? Like, what have I've experienced? Like things that you first started out with, like how did you first meet, and what was the things you appreciated, and everything like that. And I I was just taking these like nutshells, and I arranged them on the ground in front of me, and I was like, okay, this represents this for me, and this represents this for me. And I placed them out like very like deliberately. I just like, you know what your gut feeling is. Just like my gut says place it here, my gut says place it here. And then I made like, it was just an arrangement, I guess, of the things that I put down on the ground that was from the things right around there on the forest floor. And for other people it wouldn't mean anything, but for me it was like, okay, this means something for me. And when I do this, it's kind of like how you would deal with things inside you, like in your mind and your thoughts and your everything, like how yourself, like you're unconscious or something. And then I was like, I'm not really a big meditator, but I hadn't really meditated since I was a kid or something. So, but yeah, I tried to then like sit there and just, meditate, and just, when you close your eyes and you just listen to the birds like chipper, and you like start to see some colors after a while, and you just focus on the colors that you see while you have your eyes closed, and you try to just flush out any minds or thoughts that appear, and you just feel appreciation. You feel like you can't try to call for feelings. You can like, it's difficult to say, but you just try to flush anything that has anything about anything physical. You would just try to focus on clearing that out. So after a while, when you feel like that, you feel calm and like, well, I was kind of calm all the time there because I was very focused on appreciation. But yeah, after I had done, like, I felt like I'd sit there a little bit, and it started to get a little dark. I still didn't want to go home. And I left those symbols there. I didn't destroy it. I just left it there. And like time and people like kicked this off, these symbols, like as it was near a path. But it didn't matter. I left the symbols there. It's kind of like dealing with whatever you had there. So by going to the forest and leaving your thoughts in the forest, that's also a way of like dealing with those things. You kind of like, you know how you say that if you have a mental trash can, and you would take thoughts that's in your head and you just like mentally thinking that you're throwing it in the trash can. That's the same thing here. So in your way, you would like say that, okay, I'm just leaving these symbols that you made for yourself in this forest, and you left it there. Kind of like also if you were to write a letter and you would put it underneath the rock or somewhere that it would just like disintegrate over time. So after I was done there, I was walking further, and I was like, I suddenly noticed like a little like pathway into the woods that was even smaller. I was like, I always like walking the less trodden path, the path less traveled. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go in here. And I met some people on the way, and I greeted them nicely, and I like, for all of the people that I met on the way in this trip, I was like, you know what, I want to spread happiness. And I always said hi to the people that I passed. And I guess it's also easier in the summertime, because then it's like everything feels a little bit better when it's sun around. So I went to like a place where you could just go straight into the forest, because I also like to just don't like necessarily follow paths. I would like just go wherever. And I like sat down in the middle of the forest there on a patch of moss, and there's like some things that can like pop up as you think, like, what do you remember as a kid when you first like experienced nature and the world? Like you would touch the ground, you would touch the soil, you would pick up the soil, you would throw it in the air, you would like you would be more interacting with the world around you. You would see straws that has these fluffy ends, and you would like drag it and like, oh yeah, this is like, this is fancy, this is earth, this is really cool. And like, you never do that as an adult anymore. I mean, if you felt like, oh, I'm gonna pick up some dirt and throw it in there or whatever, or like just let it go and see the wind blow it away, you never do that as an adult anymore, because you're afraid of what people think about you, and like, oh no, that only kids do that, only kids look around and look at the leaf, or put your hand on a tree stump or a tree or whatever. Like, it's we get so distant, I think, for as adults. I think being surrounded by all like these fake like processed woods and metals and stuff like that, like concrete and stuff, I think it does something with us, especially if we have some difficult time or anxiety or depression or something like that. And I think if you have the opportunity to search for nature, I think it's a really, really good thing. And like, go with friends or family or alone, or anything that feels good for you. And just look at the things around you when you zoom in. Like, don't just look like straight out and like with a lens that sees everything. You need to like zoom in and like look at the little caterpillar that's going on a leaf. Look at the soft sand soil that you can like, almost like it's so fine that it would just disappear in your hands. Just look at the pretty things around you that is just small. It doesn't need to be big. It's like the small details of everything. And it was very nice to like just experience the world again, like you would as a kid. Just nature, just the small things. And it was a nice trip. At the end there, I went home, back to my bike, or first the bike and then home. And I felt appreciation. I felt that I had dealt with a lot of things, and I knew by showing for appreciation for the things that you feel also that some people might have done something wrong to you, or that you don't feel you deserve it. You still, if you manage to show appreciations to what was good, and you forgive them and you forgive yourself if there is anything there, and if you know that it's come from a good intention, that you know that you did your best, that you know that it's not up to you anymore. Like, if you did your best, if you know that it come from a good intention, and if you know that there's nothing else you can do in a situation, you threw the ball, you gave the ball to them, you said good things, because it's very important to show people that you care, show people that you appreciated them. And then you know that you threw the ball to their court and you can't do anything more. You have to forgive them and yourself, and you did your best. The last part I want to just mention before I end it is that when you also, another thing that you can do in addition to you're trying to figure out how to patch this up if you ever have something like this, is that it's important to also have people to talk to that you know that you can open up to. And I did this to my friend when I got like the day after or something, and we were like just having a tea, and we talked a little about it, and it was very nice because you see with people that have the same thing with anxiety and stuff, is that people with anxiety usually know a little bit how the other person feels, because we can kind of like we know how it is, and I guess it's more difficult for people that don't have anxiety to see this, because they might be like, what do you care? Or stuff like that. But it's nice to know that there's other people that's around there that kind of deals with the same things, and it's all gonna be different how people deal with it. And I don't know if this is gonna help anyone, but if it is, I'm super happy about it. And always know that if you are kind to people, if you try to just be the best person that you can, if you try to do self analyzing, and well, never be mean to yourself, but it's good to self-analyze. Like the worst thing you can do is like being your worst enemy, and a lot of people do this. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm so dumb, I'm so bad, I'm this and I'm that, and you only focus on like being negative to yourself. You're your worst enemy. You're your own worst enemy. And everyone that has anxiety has probably been in this situation before, or if you've been bullied. Like a lot of people have like this self-hate, but the thing is, if you manage to get out of it, or if you notice that you're doing it, like being evil to yourself, if you manage to at least stop the thought, like that you're trying to just like, maybe you don't manage to say that you love yourself, but if you at least manage to stop the thought of hating yourself, that's the first step. And at the end, maybe you will manage to get over to the part where you actually appreciate yourself. You set your self-worth as high as it should be. Because it's like, yeah, I don't know how to, because these things is, you could talk forever about these things, but I should probably just end it there. And just say that, just from like an end point, if you know that your intentions were good, if you did your best, you threw the ball and it's not in your court anymore, and you forgive them and yourself. Thank you. Bye bye.